Hello and welcome to High Vibe Astrology. This is Jennifer, back with a video on the Scorpio full moon, drawn up for May 12th, 2025 at 12:55 p.m. Eastern Time. Whether you're new or returning, thank you so much for joining me. I invite you to subscribe, hit the like button, share the video, and please feel free to comment. These are all free and easy ways to support this channel. If you're new, my approach to astrology is based upon the connection between the microcosm and macrocosm. I read the chart drawn up for my location as I'm tuning into the collective. All full moons tend to bring things to light, and with Scorpio, this is especially so because Scorpio deals with revealing what's been hidden. It rules topics that are considered to be taboo or too dark for general consumption. Scorpio rules the 8th house, which has to do with assessing how our personal values harmonize authentically with those closest to us. It's a house that absolutely requires a deep look into the self and how our innermost values are getting along with our closest circle. The interesting thing about this full moon to me, since I am always considering how these lunar cycles impact the USA's ongoing evolution and current events, is that this full moon feels like the final cycle of the USA's 2024 solar return, with Scorpio rising and the 8th house placement of the luminaries, the sun and moon. This July, of course, the USA begins a new solar return cycle, but we are still finishing up a Scorpio theme of bringing out into the light some very dark and shadowy corruption, sexual abuse, and crimes against humanity, especially children. But more than that, it's about recognizing who we are beyond death's door. Scorpio deals with the afterlife, with literal death and rebirth and being on the brink of that. So the question is, are we serving the light or serving the shadow? And whatever we've had to face in our lives, Scorpio wants us to answer that question. Do we seek to control other people in order to feel more powerful ourselves, or do we recognize a power greater than our own and surrender to it those things we simply cannot control? So we've been dealing with a theme in the collective around controlling other people. The darkest expression of the Taurus-Scorpio axis is owning, which is a Taurus word, other people's values and resources, which is Scorpio, and that includes the very essence of one's soul. At this full moon, we are discovering those who have chosen to serve their shadow nature and the darker side of life, which is about power and control, and those who are serving life at its most precious level and vulnerable form. Ultimately, however, Scorpio is the sign that learns through surrendering and releasing control, recognizing that we have to rely on spirit to resolve situations that are beyond our personal control. The shadow side of Scorpio, which is already an intense sign, expresses itself as the most sadistic and addicted to all forms of causing pain and suffering on others. This Scorpio full moon, in my view, is the completion of the purging process of the most depraved criminals on our planet, not just in the USA. If you've been listening to my videos, you will know that I assign 3 planets to the rulership of Scorpio. We have Mars and Pluto for the first 2 symbols, the scorpion and the phoenix, and I assigned Sedna for the 3rd symbol, the eagle. Sedna is here to assist us in remembering our own spiritual roots and immortality. So, beginning with Mars, we find it sitting in the 12th house, the least physical house of the zodiac, and one that does not easily find expression in the physical world. It's a house that governs tying up loose ends and karmic cycles or soul cycles. The fact that Mars is here is symbolic of that scorpion representing the least evolved of the Scorpio clan, having to now reap what they've sown. Mars is also connected to Venus in the 8th house, and Venus sits in the neighborhood having to do with our destiny forward, the North Node conjunct Saturn and Neptune. So the destiny for Mars's reckoning is tied to this fated movement to uncover all of its crimes that have remained hidden until now. The trine merely suggests that the universe supports this exposure, revelation, and reckoning. Now, in all fairness, another way to look at this trine is the warrior defending children, working behind the scenes, 12th house. Venus in Aries, making a trine to Mars in Leo, represents the feminine and the masculine together are working behind the scenes to rectify the balance of power and to rescue children. I mean, we have Leo rising. Leo represents children. So you can look at it both ways. Where Pluto is concerned, representing the Phoenix, we have an exact square from Mercury. Squares always create tension that motivates change. Mercury represents communication, the media, and in Taurus it does signify common sense, a more reliable and grounded way of thinking and communicating. The square with Pluto suggests that slowly but surely the media is changing its coverage of current events to reveal more of the truth, represented by Pluto in Aquarius, and this will ultimately completely transform the collective mind or consciousness of humanity. Now let's look at Sedna. At 0 degrees of Gemini, its dispositor is Mercury, and Mercury is our common sense symbol in this chart. But because Sedna is part of the Scorpio rulership, it symbolizes death and rebirth on a massive scale, much larger than Pluto's. And this death and rebirth, it's taking place in the realm of media, commerce, communication, and education. In its conjunction to Uranus and the Sun, Sedna's long rebirth process is punctuated by Uranus's sudden twists and turns, bringing into public view what the Scorpio full moon is reflecting back to the Sun. Its position on the midheaven makes these energies more visible, ultimately awakening humanity and assisting us in the process of integrating the dormant memories and gifts pertaining to our origin, our immortal connection to the Creator. We have Leo rising, making the Sun the ruler of this chart. It's interesting to me that with this Sun and Uranus conjunction, we have the rulers of Leo and Aquarius side by side. So the rulers of what is always in opposition, Leo and Aquarius, are working together in unison. Likewise, we can say that with Sedna's conjunction to the Sun, albeit a wide orb, the energies of Scorpio and Taurus are also coming together to work in unison. This configuration says to me that we are blending energies normally in opposition, reflecting the shadow natures to each other. Taurus is Scorpio's shadow and vice versa. Leo is Aquarius's shadow and vice versa. So we are making conscious what has been unconscious. This is fortified by the positions of the nodes of the moon, with the south node sitting in the 2nd house, often only considering what is physical and material, and then the north node in the 8th, which is seeking deeper connections from the world of spirit to that of the physical world, blending the two. An 8th house north node also means that change is inevitable, and it would benefit us greatly to find ways to implement even simple change on a daily basis. What we are working on, hopefully, is neutralizing triggers and fears we've learned to sweep under the rug of our conscious mind so that we can heal them. But unless we look at them squarely in the face, we can't neutralize them. They will control our behavior instead. Saturn conjunct the North Node calls for mastery of this process and expresses it through the Piscean vision for unity consciousness. Saturn wants to help us find structure for a new spiritual, intuitive, and artistic side that establishes unity for humanity. This conjunction is also about harmonizing human law, Saturn, with universal law, Neptune and Pisces. To do that, we each have to be willing to look at the places within that still feel too vulnerable to bring out into the light of consciousness, and find small ways to let them see the light of day and give them expression. Jupiter's T-square to the nodes is drawing closer to its exact, which happens on May 19. I talked about that at the Taurus new moon, but I'll recap here a little bit. Jupiter increases whatever it's connected to, and because we're talking about the nodes, when it connects to the South Node, it's increasing an outworn pattern of false humility and or hypercriticism of self or others. Because we always look at the energy of the South Node through a more negative lens, it could increase addictions or habits that do not serve spiritual growth. As it connects to the North Node, always looked at through the positive lens, it increases our optimism for the future, as well as a curiosity, because Jupiter's in Gemini, about what we can create in the form of a practical service that supports this spiritual vision. Last but not least, this Scorpio full moon is the focal point for a YOD between Jupiter and Chiron. There's a sextile between Jupiter and Chiron expressing in the signs of Gemini and Aries. And this provides an opportunity to learn new skills that will contribute to our independence and entrepreneurial spirit in some way. Together, they are funneling energy into this Scorpio moon, ultimately leading humanity to its destiny, one that will give birth to a much more authentic human experience, allowing us to fully feel and express our deepest emotions and vulnerabilities as we fully embrace our connection to the Creator. In this way, we neither seek to have power over others, nor do we allow others to abuse their power by exploiting us or the innocent among us. Ultimately, the Pisces North Node is about spiritual mastery, and that means taking ownership of our own connection to the Creator. So that is what I have for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please stay tuned for the frequencies, and I look forward to being with you next time. Bye for now.